Hey, Pedro, can you hear me?
Excellent. So you should be able to hear me now, right? Now, Ralph, you should be able to hear me as well.
I can hear you now, Pedro.
Excellent. Yes. All right, guys. So this is my first real stream here. I want to go over some stuff here real quick, just so that we have a clear sight, so that we know what's actually going on. Right now, I'm actually looking at Terra Luna. Now, while I go over this real quick, right after Rafi, I'd love for you to explain some of the stuff that's actually going on with Luna and kind of the fundamental aspect of why it kind of decoupled and kind of fell off here. Before we start, I just want to read this as a disclaimer: no investment advice. The information provided on this video and website and live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not treat any of the videos and website content as such. Memes, Moonrock, does not recommend that any cryptocurrency does not recommend that any cryptocurrency or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewers or listeners. Do conduct your due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investing into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but is entertainment and social education purposes. Alrighty. So if you
Oh,
could,
that's a
Ralph.
mouthful, man.
Yeah.
It reminds
It
me
does
of like my disclaimer I would have to give to every single client that they would come into my office when I was a financial advisor. I'd have to tell them that stocks are not bank guaranteed, not FDIC insured, could go up and down in value, and there could be a loss of principal. Boom. Like I had to
Yes.
say that in every single conversation when I was an
You know what?
advisor.
You have to just a bit, just to kind of watch your back and see what's going on. You never
No, it's
know.
not just that. There's like literal laws that require you to say that. Like you have to say that when you're a
Oh wow.
licensed financial advisor. And a financial advisor doesn't do that. Well, I'm sorry if you're not doing that now. Your clients know. But anyways,
Absolutely.
let's talk about the. I know you're talking about Luna. I'm interested in seeing your
Yeah.
perspective on the charts, and then yeah, definitely we can talk about the fundamentals later.
Yeah. So we have definitely just had a huge sell off here. We did hit the 2-hour 8 SMA, which is typically the 2-hour chart is on a trading stance. It's kind of it's a big pointer, because what happens is, and when I say pointer, I mean it's a transitional trading chart. So whenever I'm looking, I'll look at the 2-hour kind of to check things out, but I typically look at a bunch of other charts, time frames. And so just to really kind of get a grasp of what's going on. So as you can see here, the 2-hour is kind of the transitional, the transitional chart. So we just hit the 2-hour 8 SMA here. And so as you can see, we are in a death plunge. And Luna is trying to save their life here, and I think they will. I mean, that's personally like my own personal opinion, but this drop here is a unique drop, and I think potentially a great opportunity for people who are maybe paying attention to crypto, but again, not financial advice. So one of the things that I'm looking at as well is when I'm looking into these charts is I'm looking for areas that potentially could be areas of buyers maybe coming in or sellers stepping in. But either way, it's still an area that I'm kind of looking at Now, this area here that I did look at is roughly ranging on the 15-minute. I have this little buyer mark, but this area is on the 1 hour, 2 hour, as well as the 4 hour mark here. So it's going to be interesting to see if it holds. Another area that I want to point out for myself is this area right here as well. So between, what is this, the 0.003 to, and this is kind of like another level that I'm looking at. Here we go. I would say about right here. So it encapsulates this whole entire area here for myself. In particular, it's these wicks that I'm really looking to see how we're going to react to, how we're going to actually react as we are coming into them. The 5-minute is what I'm also looking at in particular. 5 and 15-minute. I'm looking to see if we're going to be trending. I'm looking for SMAs and also zones to be kind of kicking in and seeing if we're going to incorporate any buyers that are going to step in to start moving the market. Now, again, we did see a sell-off, but I was expecting a sell-off earlier just simply because of just the shape and movement of the candles. If you guys realize, we just literally went from, 0.0004 all the way up to 4 cents, almost 5 cents, or actually almost 5 cents. So that's a 10x right there. So definitely some people are cashing in on profit, as you can see here. You definitely saw people buying in at this mark. So I'm looking at this as really as an area of just, okay, well, if it's going to hold, like my line in the sand is kind of like this area right here to sit there and say, all right. And if you still believe in Luna, maybe start DCAing right here. But again, that is not financial advice. It's all based off of my own speculative information and what I think what it might do. But it's just interesting to see. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We're going to see what's going to happen here in the next few minutes. But talk to me, Ralphie. What are your thoughts on the actual fundamental analysis on Luna?
It's mixed feelings, man. Mixed feelings because, okay, well, I thought their algorithmic stablecoin was rather interesting. I understand why they did it that way, but there was an incredible vulnerability that, from what the rumors are, and I mean, all I can go by are really the rumors because we don't know 100% of the facts of what happened in the background. But we'll discuss some of the rumors that would affect the fundamentals, and then we'll discuss also the actual, black and white fundamentals that we're seeing right now. So, I mean, we have to start with the story, right? What happened? So a few days ago, you guys heard the news that, Luna with their LFG fund bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But what we're hearing is that Citadel, which is a huge fund, and again, this is just a rumor. I could be wrong, and I'm not, saying anything against them. I'm just repeating what is coming out from a mixture of documentation that shows some of these reported things, such as Citadel taking a loan of 25,000 Bitcoin and having that in their portfolio, and then not having it in their portfolio and ending up in the hands of Luna. So, there's some things there. Now, the rumor is that essentially there was a deal between Citadel and Luna for Citadel to offload these 25,000 Bitcoin, which again they received through debt, and decided to offload at a loss to Luna, and Luna agreed to buy it with UST. Now that's a problem because if someone with $1 billion worth of UST were to use a vulnerability that was opened at the time to essentially, I don't know if you guys are aware, but you can convert your UST to Luna in a portal that they have. You would essentially now convert it to Luna and be able to sell all that Luna. What you would do beforehand is short Luna, right? So, meaning that you would sell against the market. So Citadel could have easily gotten $1 billion to short against Luna and bet that the price would go down, then convert that UST they just received for the 25,000 Bitcoin into Luna, then sell that Luna that they just converted from the UST, making the price go down, and then profit from the short that they just made. Then after that, rinse and repeat. You just keep doing the same thing, right? You just keep taking advantage of that vulnerability. Now, what happens is because this destabilizes the algorithm that is involved in making UST a stable coin, which essentially depends on the price of Luna and depends on selling Luna in order to receive backing of funds for the peg of UST tied to the US dollar. It destabilized UST and depegged it from the US dollar, right? So basically, what happened is it allowed for the destabilization and now the downtrend of UST. And what happens is that now this causes, of course, a lot of commotion in the markets and a lot of FUD, and rightfully so. And so now everybody starts selling their Luna. Well, guess what? Meanwhile, a big hedge fund can be shorting the whole way through. And the amount of money that they can make is in the billions. And, some of us are, we've been looking into this for the past couple days, and they made somewhere around $10+ billion in these last couple of days of the markets going down. Here's the thing. In order for Luna to continue to try to peg the UST to the dollar, right? It's been fumbling around like 20 cents and 40 cents and 60 cents and even got to 90 cents at one point. But in order for it to do that, to try to get back to $1, it has to sell Luna. Now, how does it sell Luna? It mints new Luna tokens. So that means that there isn't one stable or one capped supply or total supply amount of Luna. Luna increases in supply while UST is down. And so what's very incredible is that Luna has increased about almost 100x, almost 100 times its previous supply before all this commotion happened. So before all this commotion, Luna had about less than 400 million Luna tokens in supply. And now it's somewhere in the high 30 billions, right? So 100 times more the supply than it had just a couple days ago. And sometimes when you see a lot of this selling, it's not really people, it's Luna. So that's why I have to take the chart readings with a grain of salt, because yeah, the chart readings are great when you have institutional investors or even retail investors that are trading, right? Because they're just trading, they're doing things based off the markets and the charts and stuff like that. But in this case, a lot of those sales might not even be people. A lot of those sales might be Luna trying to recover funds in order to peg themselves back to the dollar, the UST back to the dollar. Now, Luna patched up a lot of their code, and they brought down their servers, and they basically they're trying to fix everything. They are in a war room right now, and they are, I'm sure, extremely stressed and trying to find every way possible to make their project survive. But right now it's not looking too good, because the way it works is not really sustainable, right? And unless they were, so here's now what I see some solutions happening, and here's what I think is happening. It's interesting that these people, whoever they are, the ones that strategize this, left Luna with a pulse, because it was easily available for them to just kill it. to just completely kill UST and completely kill Luna, but they didn't. They left it with a pulse. And so my thoughts are, and this is coming from my traditional finance background where I have experience in some of this stuff, just a little bit. Um, this could be a takeover attempt. This could be an attempt to basically bring down the price so significantly that someone could come in with $1 billion. And by the way, I mean, these guys already made billions. So with just a small amount of money, they can come in, buy up the majority of UST at a discount, and buy the majority of Luna at a discount, and then become the powers that be for this project. That's how you basically kick out the holder, the actual project founders and the leadership there, and basically take over. And that could be what is happening, maybe not, but there is an opportunity right now for large companies such as Binance to come in and or USDT to come in and strategize a deal where they can take over UST, right? Add it to their portfolios as another stable coin in their arsenal, because they're buying it at a discount, and once it stabilizes, they're already making double the money. In addition to that, they could also buy out Luna and adopt Luna as one of their projects. So this is all a big possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I will say that the fundamentals here are basically very risky. The risk reward, however, I will say, yes, there is a severe, like extreme risk reward, where the risk is, yeah, you could lose everything, but you have a chance here to make multiples of your money. And today there have already been people that have made 10x from the bottom, right? The bottom was somewhere around 0.003 cents, and I know it went up to like 5 cents after. So there are people that already made 10x their money, and you were talking about that, right? And some of those people might be some of those sales, but then in addition to that, some of these sales could be mixed in with the Luna Foundation actually selling, right, some Luna in order to help UST. So I don't know, guys. Again, there is a risk reward here, so I can see why this would be a move to make, because with a limited amount of risk, very calculated risk of funds that you're willing to say, okay, we'll be willing to risk this in order to make 10x, 20x, or 100x gains. It could be. Also, I will mention one more thing. Just as Luna can mint more tokens in the future, if everything stabilizes, they have a formula to burn tokens as well, right? So that's something to also look at. The fact that tokens can be burned of Luna, and tokens can be taken out of supply via staking, and they do have rewards mechanisms in order to do that. So what everyone is looking at here, and what we all need to worry about, is UST stabilizing. That's pretty much it. If UST stabilizes, we will see Luna make it and resurrect itself. Why are we looking at Hex? What's that?
No, Hex. I was looking at them earlier today, but
yeah.
No, I was actually going to pull up
because it's interesting that you're looking at Hex. Hex is usually looked at from what's happened in the past. Sometimes people will run to Hex during downtrends like this. Also, Cello, some of their what people consider safer assets during downtrends. We're looking at UST.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up UST to USD and just see it. Or USD. What do you think we should?
That's USDT though. UST versus USDT. Yeah, you could do that one.
Yeah, check it out.
Something that worried me today was USDT went to 94 cents, and I was like, oh no. Like these are things that can definitely hurt the rest of the market. Like put us down deeper in the red than what we already are. Has been talking about stable coins. So one more thing, yeah, I saw that what you mentioned there, Pedro, through text. Okay, so there are a couple more things that I could add on the fundamental side, which is we were having this conversation about the government, right? And the government, how they have been monitoring stable coins, which is an also interesting thing there with the funds that, you know, are people are speculating are involved in this are also heavily involved with the SEC and the government. They have relationships there, but you know, I don't want to get into all
conspiracy
theory like and all that, but you know, so it seems to be late in the last couple of years a lot of conspiracy theories are true. What I will say is that the government has been discussing stablecoins. They don't like stablecoins. Stablecoins are a threat because essentially what's being created is a system that acts like the money printer that the U.S. government already has, and they don't like that, right? So what happens is recently with all this commotion in the markets and UST coming down, lawmakers are now saying, you know, before 2022 we have to figure this out and discuss regulations. Now, what's also very interesting is that midterm elections are also this year, at the end of this year, for the U.S. government. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I'm going to be very real. This is crypto winter, right? A lot of people right now, I'm hearing people are saying, oh, you know, just for the project of Moonrock, hey, you know, we should have marketing and things like that. If you're saying that, I don't think you're really seeing the full reality of the situation here. Just being honest with you. And perhaps maybe you don't have the experience in order to, you know, gauge this. But I will say that this is what's going on right now is a time where we have to analyze the markets and we have to find ways to capitalize on certain opportunities. But when it comes to marketing, right now, people are afraid. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people have already exited completely, right? A lot of people have already said they want nothing to do with crypto now, right? Because they can't handle the volatility. There's a lot of emotions involved here, right? And so when you have a significant amount of emotions and you have a red market and you have all these things going on, doing any sort of marketing it's not going to
move the
really
needle as much
at all. No, at all, really, at all. You know, people are just going to be like, no. It's like trying to sell ice in the winter, right? It's you know, some people say, oh yeah, I can sell ice to an Eskimo because like that's a saying that people say when they're really good salespeople. And really selling ice to an Eskimo, it wouldn't really, you know, make a lot of sense, right? And the thing is, right now, if you're trying to market a crypto, it better be something that is basically helping you hedge against all of this. And right now, there isn't anything that'll help you hedge against all of this because that doesn't exist, right? The fact is that all of crypto is being affected because you know, there's a lot of liquidity exiting. That's just what it is. And now that liquidity, some of that liquidity, so some of those investors are on the sidelines and they're looking in and they're like, okay, I'm gonna come back when things stabilize, or I'm never coming back, or whatever. So, you know, for those of you that have never experienced something like this, this is a very similar situation to 2018 with different aspects. Like this is, you know, the fall of Terra Luna. If it dies, okay, it will cause a side first of all a downward market, which we're in right now, and then a sideways market at the lower levels for months, if not a year plus. I'm just telling you guys the reality. It's just like, I mean, I've been through this for years, guys. Right? I'm not gonna BS you. This is what it is, right? And that's why we always tell you, do not invest what you can't afford to hold for a long period of time or to lose, because that is the reality of these markets, right? And look, who would have thought? Who would have thought that UST would have come down like it did, right? I bet you guys that there are people that put their retirement money and, savings and emergency savings into UST, thinking that because it's a stable coin, it's as good as, having cash. And now those people have suffered losses, right? Or are currently at a loss and haven't sold yet. That is the reality of the situation, my friends. So, I try to be as real as possible with everyone. And, we see it, we see the reality, but we're here to stay. I mean, is this a Moonrock? Are we streaming on Moonrock? Am I talking to the right audience?
No, this is my audience that I'm actually doing.
Okay.
But I can quickly and easily stream to Moonrock as well. So
No,
that's
no, no, that's
not.
fine. That's fine. We'll keep it like that. I'm like, because I already said what I had to say, and that would have been what I wanted Moonrock holders to hear. But this also fits everyone else, right? But yeah, man. Look, again, like, technicals are cool and everything, but right now with what's going on, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to really do technical analysis. Remember when we were looking at Luna when it was dropping and it was like somewhere in the $20 range, and we were like, oh, if it gets down to $5, might be a good opportunity. Remember that?
Yeah, I actually saw that because personally, when I was looking at the yeah, I looked at it and I said, $5 or $4 is like you
Right.
said, or I think I said $6, $6 to $4 is what I
Yeah.
was looking at,
Exactly.
and
And the
then
fundamentals were basically saying, okay, at that point when we were having that discussion,
yeah,
UST was recovering from dropping to
mm,
like
yep,
60 cents. It was at 94 cents. So at that
yeah,
point, the fundamentals were saying, well, it only has 6 cents left to go, right? It dropped a bit, right? But once it fixes its peg, it's going to go back up. But then what we didn't know was the background and the rumors that are going on that might be
yeah,
true, might be the exact same thing that's going on, is that there's a full-fledged attack on this ecosystem. And people can
mhm,
try to blame them as much as possible. They can be, there's going to be people hating on them, right? But you're hating on the wrong people.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
absolutely hating on the wrong people right now. Like, there's so much more going on here that people just don't understand. And it's very unfortunate, and they are taking advantage of a certain vulnerability that is unfortunately hurting people's, like, livelihoods, right? And an ecosystem that was definitely viable, unfortunately, did have that vulnerability. And if it happened in the way that we're talking about, where this guy sold, or gave it, transferred $1 billion worth of UST for the 25,000 Bitcoin, it was a Trojan horse.
hmm
He fell for a Trojan horse, right?
yeah. Well, I mean,
And
who would have thought that that would actually
Citadel,
happen? Though, right? Yeah, who
or
would thought?
like,
Citadel. Yeah, you're
that one
thinking,
of the,
oh, they're
that one of these
coming.
that a big fund like this has a strategy and has it, so down packed that this was their goal, right?
Right.
it it's unfortunate, man. Right now, look at the markets. Overall, the markets are not doing very well. Everyone has a lot of fear in their eyes. uh but
When did COVID hit? If you don't mind me asking.
March 2020.
All right, so 2020. So let's go back here and look, and we've talked about this, right? Where uh, now most people don't know this, but about 30%. We talk about being the Great Resignation, right? And we talk about basically a ton of people, the lowest, people who work, right, but they barely can make it. About 30% of them actually was able to retire because of Bitcoin, absolutely Bitcoin. And during that time period, March of 2020, as we look, a lot of people started getting stimulus checks, right? Um, and in this process, people were able to buy Luna, many other cryptocurrencies, right? That exploded, and they became millionaires. People became millionaires, right? Being able to invest into a lot of these coins out here, right? And then they've been able to stake them, hence be able to actually make a living. And so it's interesting to sit there and see, and the government's been saying one of the biggest issues, right, of inflation is that they don't have enough workers, right? That they've got to raise rates, they've got to or not raise rates, but they've got to raise, um, companies got to go out there and make it advantageous for people to come and work for them. And so people come out, I mean, $20, 15, $20 to work at McDonald's, it's because they don't have enough workers. And so then they raise the rates, and we've seen this huge push. And I say that not because it's this conspiracy theory, but it's just simply one of the issues. And one of the biggest ways you could actually get people to now start going back to work is, well, their source of income is no longer there. And so now they've got to go through and go back to work. So it's interesting to see how many people who, make between, $10 to $50,000 who used to make that now have to go back to work because of, Luna falling. I wonder how many people bought in back during COVID when it was at these prices here. Right. So it's interesting to wonder like what actually is going on and just the background side of things. I mean, I know that's kind of a wild horse, but I wonder if the government did incite other people to sit there and say, hey, we need certain things to happen.
Can I give you some breaking news?
Breaking news, bust it.
I just told you guys earlier that Luna had high 30 billions in circulating supply.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 10 billion more we just added.
Wow. So they're trying to stop the bleeding, or they're trying to help with the
yeah, man,
with everything.
So again, the fundamentals just changed again.
Yeah.
Right. So now that chart, I don't know if you can analyze this, bro. It's outside. Like when you do chart analysis, right? You have to expect the fundamentals are the same, right?
No. I purely don't even care. Like when I was looking at Bitcoin and was looking at Ethereum and everything else.
Yeah, but 10 billion coins just got added to this monster.
Right. So what I'm saying though is this, personally for myself, right? I was not looking at the fundamentals at all. I just simply looked at the chart itself. So for me, now listen, I respect the fundamentals. I don't disagree that the fundamentals are important, right? Like you need to have the fundamentals. But in the same sense, actually, can I put you on hold for 1 second? I actually need to go handle something. Can you talk about what just happened and the fundamental aspect behind it?
Sure. I mean,
thank you.
It's 10 billion tokens were just added so basically it's getting closer to about 50 billion when before it was closer to 40 billion. That's an increase of about 25%. 25%, that's where it's at right now, an increase on that supply. Whenever you have an increase in supply with, let's say, a stagnant demand or even an increase in demand, you have to increase the demand by the increase in supply. If not, then the price will drop. So that's why I'm saying that if they keep increasing the supply in this manner, then the charts, just really doing chart analysis at this current time, won't do any justice to what's really happening with the actual tokens, right? So basically, you have more tokens, which means that there is going to be more sell pressure, right? And in fact, Terra Luna, the project, sells these tokens in the open market to, as I mentioned before, to stabilize UST. So this is not good. And trying to do chart analysis on this can, and then trying to buy in at this current time could hurt. So yeah, definitely, guys, do your own research. Don't take what I'm saying, uh, take everything that you're hearing here with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Learn to look at the supplies. You can actually go to the Terra.
Terra what? Terra Luna. So for me, like from a technical analysis, what I'm looking for right now here is I'm looking for something that kind of look like this. We'll use this as a good example. Some type of wick, some type of buyer wick to step in and to kind of show some support. I'm looking for it to get above the 8 moving average. So as you can see right here, we are below the moving average. So if we can get in this area where there's kind of a buy area, where we're kind of consolidating here, if we can get above the 8 moving average and then start to bounce off it, and then it start to look like this, that's what I'm looking for here, right? And so I would then trade that, because technical traders are going to trade that based off of this movement. So from a technical analysis, that's how I would look at it, Rafi.
But then here's what you got to understand: they can trade that, but then they have artificial selling pressure on top of them. You get what I'm saying?
No, I don't disagree. But from a
so you can go ahead and buy right now, because let's say I'm just saying right now.
I didn't say buy right now.
No.
You want to first wait.
Right. I'm not saying you have to buy right now. I'm not saying. Let's say you get your confirmations, right, that this is a good time to buy. Wherever you are in the chart, there's confirmations. It's a great time to buy. Then these guys print another 10 billion more tokens and they drop it on you. It just, it took the probability aspect out of the equation, because they just changed the fundamentals again.
But they may change the fundamentals. But if I see buyers stepping in, it's going to push it up.
But now
like right now.
So they just increased the supply by 20%. So now if you see buyers stepping in, you need to see now another 20% more buyers that can soak up those tokens. You get me? Because you're playing against supply and demand on top of, like, this is economics, right? You're playing against supply and demand while you're playing with the charts. There's an increase of supply. Like, usually when you're dealing with stocks, when you're dealing with cryptos with stagnant supply, what you're doing is you're doing analysis on the charts based off a supply, a one standard supply, right? And in the stock market, if the supply is going to change for whatever reason, there's announcements that need to be made. There are there's a whole bunch of things that need to be done regulatory wise to make sure that everyone is aware of this, and then whoever's not aware of it can exit before it is done. You get me? And right now this is happening as we speak. In fact,
Ralph, are you there, bud? No, I don't disagree with you in the idea behind. But one thing I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Open the website that I just sent you, because if you want to do proper chart analysis, you have to do it off this. This is the only way you're going to be able to do it. You have to use their ecosystem. You can't use anything else, because their ecosystem, it's constantly updated with the supply figures, with it's paired against the UST, which is the only way that you can really analyze this properly. You see that? Click on Luna. You see how the price there for Luna is different everywhere else? Is because the only real way to analyze this is by pairing it to UST, since that is their ecosystem. And so this is really, I think, the most accurate way, if we're going to be doing chart analysis, to do it this way. Now, let's step out of here for just 1 second so I can teach everybody something on the fundamentals. Can you click on the 3 bars to the top left-hand corner? I can barely see. You see Luna supply? Click that. There you go. This is the truth. Wow. Wow. Another billion. Jeez. Take a screenshot of that, bro, and then look at it in 30 minutes. There you go. Come back to that in 30 minutes. Show it to your audience. This is the most rawest form. You won't find this information anywhere else. I've been looking, right? Luna this is the only place that you're going to find this information. And the other places, they're backed up by like a whole day. They have 20 they have a gap of 24 hours for their information. There are some websites that still say they have 1.4 billion in circulating supply. And a lot of people are making the mistake of buying in thinking there's 1.4 billion circulating supply when there's really almost 50 billion.
So why is it important to understand from a fundamental perspective that why supply is so important? Why is that? If I'm day trading,
the laws of
and I'm looking
economics,
also,
supply and demand. The laws of economics, supply and demand. The more supply, that means there's more pressure. And if that supply is being used to sell into the market, that means there's a lot more selling pressure. It's like, let's say you are lifting weights, okay? I don't know if people can see this in their mind, but let's say you have a barbell. You're doing chest press, right? And on the barbell, you decided to put 100 pounds. There's a total of 100 pounds on the barbell, right? And now you're pushing. But as you're pushing, someone adds another 25 pounds. Now you have to push even harder, right? And you keep doing your chest presses, and then someone adds another 25 pounds as you're pushing, which means you have to put even more. But if you're getting tired and you don't have enough strength for it, guess what? That barbell comes down and it starts crushing you. That's exactly what's happening to the markets. So you can keep trying to push and keep trying to you know you understand the weight at first, right? And so you're pushing against the weight with your understanding of what it is initially. But if the weight changes on you, then you can get crushed if you don't have the strength to push it. And that is what's happening. It's more weight being put onto the traders and onto the buyers and onto the holders.
so let's say they start to remove the supply.
Now
Right.
that would be beneficial.
So
That
we
would
can
be
see here that
beneficial.
supply here has been removed a number of times.
Yes. Yes.
Supply has been being removed for a while.
Yes. And that was based off the UST. That was based off their mechanism for doing that is based off the arbitrage between the UST and the Luna. But unfortunately, right now, with the UST being the way it is, you cannot expect the supply to start dropping until the UST gets pegged back to $1. So meanwhile, the UST is still below $1. You have to expect that the supply will continue to grow. That's my point.
So if I'm looking to get back into the trade long haul, right? Let's say I'm talking long term. I'm buying in right now as we keep seeing it.
It dollar cost average.
Yeah, I'm DCing it. I'm DCing a, right? I need
I
to
would
see.
dollar cost
I need to.
average probably every couple hours until you I would stretch it out. Like, I would say if it's $1,000, probably the best way to do it at this point is like $100 every 4 hours or something like that is how I would do it. Spread out the risk.
Now with the USDT and what's going on here, or UST, excuse me, not USDT, but the UST. Now, do you feel like this is going to bottom out, or do you think it's going to probably recover? What are your thoughts on that?
It has a very strong chance of recovering it will just need the cooperation between either one very strong entity or several strong entities that want to help recover it. And those entities will basically, own Terra Luna. I mean, they'll be able, if they can, basically they would buy up as much as they can right now, bring it back up to $1 because the buying pressure will bring it back up to $1. They will be able to turn that UST into Luna, right? And then have governance power, right, for the ecosystem, and that would essentially, give them the power to make decisions in the future and to control Terra Luna, which is something that is probably what they're trying to do. It's probably what's been happening. There's probably someone out there or an entity out there buying up and trying to cause all this fear and buying up as much as they can of UST and Luna, and then will become the sole decision maker there, or will just make it, if they're evil, then they'll just make it obsolete, which would suck. But I think most people are in it for the money, and if they know better, they know that they can take over this project and add more value to it. And now what they're buying into, let's say they put $1 billion, they can turn that billion to 100 billion. They already made more than 10, reinvesting some of those profits into own the majority of this would make them, even more. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Is it possible for that entity? I mean, they would have to need a lot of money, right, to be able to really. I mean, would they need a lot of money to really make it a better entity than what it really is? I mean, I thought Luna was one of the best.
They need legislative power. They need connections. They need, the way that I would do it is because they already have it all structured, right? They already have a community. They already have technology. They have a whole ecosystem. It works. Luna is more than just UST. Luna is a whole. Think of like, Polygon. Think of
Apple.
No, but I'm saying think of like Ethereum, right? Like its ecosystem. They have an ecosystem. The only thing is they decided to create on top of their ecosystem their own pegged dollar, right? So, and they did it in this algorithmic way, which obviously did not work out. But the way to do it is coming in with legislative power and making this a project that now aligns closer with the government, right? And making this maybe some sort of entity that correlates more with worldwide governments, which in a way a lot of people will not like, but will also save, UST, get it pegged back up to $1, and then will give a chance for Terra Luna to survive. You might see the existing leadership, get wiped out and like go, but you will see, a whole new leadership come in and restructure the whole entire thing. So that could be what they do. I don't know. I mean, I would. If I had billions of dollars and I saw this vulnerability and I didn't like the leadership, I mean, this would probably be one of the strategies to go. If that leadership didn't want to sell Terra Luna earlier, this is the when it comes to Wall Street, when it comes to finance and things like that, this is just the sad truth, guys. This is how it is. Like, finance guys and hedge funds and things like that, they will not stop if they want something, if they want to buy something that they can see they can add more value to and make more money with, they will not stop at it. And I'm just saying, if I was one of those finance guys that I'm working for Citadel and all that, and my quarterly earnings and all these things. I'm being pressured and all that. This is what I would have to do to continue my position there. Just giving you that perspective, that traditional finance perspective.
For our audience who doesn't know who Citadel is, who is Citadel?
One of the largest, funds they're vertically integrated in so many. Think of like a BlackRock, think of like, all these large financial institutions. This is one of them. They were actually one of the guys that were shorting GameStop hard and were complaining about the retail traders, beating them on their trade. And this is almost like a comeback for them gaining back some of the losses that they if this is them, right? I'm talking as if this is, because there's a lot of rumors that it is. This would be almost like a comeback for them.
Almost like a stick it to them.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're the man, watch.
A year later.
Well, that is something. They do play the long haul, that's for sure. When it comes down to this stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, man, I gotta go. But it's been real. We'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna keep this open here, and we're gonna see how this plays out and see what goes on. So I'm just gonna let this kind of be here and see what's going on. So thank you for coming in, Ralph.
No problem, man. But check out the Luna UST chart. That's the one that you want to use. Luna UST. The one that I showed you, that's already in the Luna dashboard. The Luna UST chart is what's going to give you the raw information, like the actual chart.
So this one is what you're communicating.
Let's see. Yes. That one gives you the real price, because you have to look at it from the perspective of their ecosystem, right? Because everything is built on their ecosystem. UST, Luna, all that. Again, it's an ecosystem within itself. And if you want to do some chart analysis, it has to be done here to give you, because the other one, if you're using USDT or whatever, it's kind of skewing the information just a tad bit, since USDT is an actual stable pair, and it has its own markets. It's aggregating prices from like Binance and all these different places. This chart right here is the true heartbeat.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
And by the way, I'm learning all of this in the last couple days, man. I wasn't a Terra Luna expert, This is just like I'm a student of crypto, and to me this was fascinating that this could happen. The fact that all of this is happening, how it's all structured, like all this stuff is, we're learning, right? This is how you learn things that can help you build new ecosystems, improve upon the space, and all that.
No, I hear you. That's one of the things I think when we look at these plays is that you don't know until it's because it's happening as we speak. Like with the traditional finance, you can go back and look at hundreds of years, right? We can sit there and go, okay, in 1880 we had a crash, and then 1930 we had another crash, right? And then the 70s they had another crash, right? And then they had the 80s and 90s boom, and then 2000, 2002 another crash, 2008 another crash, right? So now so you can go back and you can do a lot of study and a lot of analysis, but right now when it comes to crypto, this is brand new. This is not something that we can sit there and say, well, go back to the charts or go back to the history books. This is all new.
Like people don't know how UST, people are in a month from now, we're going to be talking about how UST affected the whole entire market and why. Like right now, people think it's all panic. No. There were exchanges that use UST as a standard pair against other assets. So like UST Matic, UST Bitcoin, UST, et cetera, right? And now those centralized exchanges have lost a significant amount of liquidity paired to those assets and had to even sell some of those assets to bring back liquidity to their markets. That's what people don't know, and that's why you're seeing also another, and this is the concern, right? That if the same thing happens to more stable coins, then this will only get worse. Which is why I was mentioning earlier that I was afraid when I saw USDT go down to 94 cents, but it quickly went back up to $1.
It's very interesting because the idea is that this almost going to start a cascading effect throughout all the actual stable
A
coins.
domino effect. Yep.
Wow. Wow. That can be a bit scary because that's going to change the whole entire game.
It's a Lehman Brothers situation like we were talking about earlier. It's a Lehman Brothers situation. And I'm telling you right now, if
so
Binance probably knows this and they need to come and save these people. Like these people are too big to fail, man. It really
who's Lehman Brothers? Who's Lehman Brothers? Because I mean, a lot of people here are probably the age of.
Man, I can't get into that right now because I really gotta go. It's my daughter's birthday. But
yes. I'm sorry, yes.
But no, pull that up for people, man. Pull up the Lehman Brothers story for people so they can see it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I can elaborate on it for people. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem,
it is your daughter's birthday, and we appreciate you.
Anytime, dude.
Coming in. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
I'll be around.
Bye-bye. I'm gonna step away for just a moment. We're gonna keep watching the drama unfold here. It's one of those things that it's really interesting to see what's gonna happen here with Luna, and so we're gonna find out what happens, how we're gonna see things unfold. So we'll see if we see a nice little rally, see if it comes back and keeps plummet. All right, is it gonna keep plummeting or is it gonna rally like a shooting star across the universe here? So we'll see what happens. But I'll be back in about 5 minutes, and give me 5 minutes and I'll be back. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Yeah, it's a really unique situation that we're in. It's almost like history. We don't even realize right now, but we're actually covering history right now. People will sit there and be like, "Remember when?" Um, so Lehman Brothers, speaking on the thing that we were talking about earlier, Lehman Brothers was a major institution for almost 100 years. I think they were even longer than 100 years. They were a firm that was a juggernaut within Wall Street back in 2008. Long story short, they had taken out a ton of leverage on certain risky products out there that were very highly leveraged, but were producing a lot of money. And so these products were based off of the U.S. economy, preferably the housing market. And what it was doing basically was going through and just selling these assets. So they were out there selling these assets to people around the world. The short of the situation is this. When the housing market in the U.S. started to pop back in 2008, these assets started to falter. And they were based off of certain things around the country. Short of it is this, is that because this juggernaut of a firm had highly leveraged itself over it, and when it went belly up, because its debt outweighed its books, its assets, they pretty much went belly up, and it caused the markets to fall apart. Everything just started really falling apart. And that's what we saw in 2008. Now, the market was kind of already in kind of a little bit, it was in a pullback, but when Lehman Brothers really, when they came out with the news, it just made everything fall apart. And so this is what we're talking about with Luna, that Luna with UST very much could cause a decoupling of stablecoins within the actual markets at large. Or when I say markets, I mean markets within crypto. And so if we start to see a sell-off of many of the stable coins, it could really hurt crypto at large. So it's just really interesting to see what's going on. And if you guys want, you guys can answer any questions, type any questions in the comment section. We'll be able to answer them and kind of go over stuff. It's really interesting to see what we have going on here. Right now I'm looking at the chart for UST. And we're starting to see it kind of, we'll see if this holds here. I'm looking to see if we're going to hold on higher time frames here. If it can hold and be bouncing off of this 8, which it looks like it might, we could see it rally back up to at least 65 here. And even continue up to a pretty, it might, we could actually see it from an actual charting perspective. You can see it come back almost up to the 78, even 90 area, if it's able to hold this spot here. Now we do have higher lows. Here's the lower low, and now we have a higher low here. So this is something that's going to be really interesting. If this holds here, in this mark, then we could see this rallying up. So I mean, it's kind of a critical point here for UST here. It's going to be really interesting to see if they do hold. In addition to that, and just pointing out what Ralphie talked about, we're starting to see a little bit of a, at least not of a pullback, but at least some buying coming into Luna, and it's hopefully going to continue, but we'll find out if it does or not. Real interesting times. We are starting to see here that the sellers are dwindling down, as you can see, but buyers are very few and far in between to be noticed, to be brought in. But I don't know. People and don't forget that Terra Luna just 3 weeks ago were up at, they were in the hundreds. They were at $118, not hundreds, but singular. I mean, I think that their peak was $118, I believe. Forgive me, let's pull it up here real quick, and so we should be able to download this data. There. So yeah, that peak was about 116, 118 before they did start to sell off here. This is actually when they made the purchase deal with Citadel. So it's a very interesting thing that we're seeing within the markets. But again, Luna, if this would be the ultimate comeback kid. If we saw these guys come through, it's like Rocky IV when he's fighting the Russian, and they're exchanging punch for punch, but almost even worse. I mean, so it's just really, really interesting to see what's happening here. Be really interesting to see if it is able to come back. Hopefully it does. If it comes back, then it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be one for the ages. Definitely one for the ages. And I will find out here real quick soon, though. I wouldn't say real quick soon, because I mean, this might be a fight that happens for the next month or two or even 5 months. But if you could, but we all know that crypto within days could easily rebound and just completely change everything. So don't discredit something. It just might come back. But yeah, good old Luna and UST. They've really had some really unique situations lately. Now I'm gonna step away for about a few minutes here. I'll be back. I gotta go handle something, but I will be back. Please stay tuned to the live update of Luna and UST. All right, guys, we'll talk to you guys in a minute. Bye. All right, guys, we're just back here on the Luna UST dilemma going on situation. Now we can see here that Luna did try to come up and test the 8 moving average here. It was rejected, and it looks like it is continuing down here. As we can see here, that it is trying for its dear life to continue. So we'll see if it's able to keep going, but it's interesting to see what is happening. Now, like we said, we definitely tested this 8 moving average. We have been testing it here. So let's see if it's going to see if it will see if it gets above it. If we're able to keep above that 5 minute moving average, we could see maybe a comeback. We'll see what happens. But just as a quick little reclaimer, that the information provided on this video and website and live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not be treated, or it should not treat any of the videos and website content as such. I means and Murak does not recommend that any cryptocurrency or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investing into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but is entertainment and social educational purpose. So, as we can see here, again, we got a little bit of a rally, or not call it a rally, but a little bit of a push here. If we can get above this 8 moving average and maybe even see it kind of climb above and hit this 20 moving average, that would be nice to see something. Now, we've got a bunch of red right here. So this red could come up to at least 32 cents here. That's if some of the buyers do step in. If the bulls take hold of the horns and get moving this thing, we might be able to stop the bear claw hand coming down. So let's see what happens. It's definitely fun times during the Luna and UST debacle. And I wouldn't even call it a debacle because, just as Ralphie was talking about, we're having issues in regards because of the Citadel. And again, this is all rumored, but Citadel is the ones supposedly shorting the Luna chart here. So, they're the ones who were also shorting or they were short, keyword I think, now they're no longer, the GameStop, stock, where a lot of the smaller guys came in and really kind of said, nope, this is what we're going to do. And they bought the stock, and they actually saved GameStop. So it's just interesting to see what's going to happen here. It'd be great if all of a sudden the troops started rallying and we started seeing some huge push of kind of like what we saw with GameStop. But we'll see what happens then. Again, this is a crazy time in crypto. So we're going to see what goes on. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, but I'm just going to step away. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, guys, I'm back again. Here we go. It's been a brutal fight here. No, I'm just joking. There's been definitely just a standstill of the market here. The market is definitely moving sideways just for a few of the last 30 minutes. So we'll see what happens. It's really interesting to see. They're about to come up. Just created a new chart here. The new 30-minute candle. So let's check it out here. Here we go. So it's kind of indecision here. It's not really looking big or small. We are seeing, like I said, some buys here. The wicks coming in, but we definitely have bigger seller wicks here. So it's definitely looking a lot bearish than bullish, but we'll see what happens. It might continue down, but we will be paying more attention to this. But I will be doing this throughout the day, throughout the evening, just coming on live. So I'm going to step away here. But please subscribe and like to what I'm doing. If you like it, then great. All right, guys, have a blessed day.